Okay, y'all can see what we are up to today, making these wonderful cornbread dressing muffins and this beautiful cranberry relish. I was moving so fast with this recipe today that I did not record the beer that went into the cornbread, nor did I record the raspberry vodka that went into this wonderful relish. So please follow the recipe that's included here to cook up this beautiful Thanksgiving dish. Okay? All right. I'll meet you over there on the counter so we can get this together and we'll be eating in no time. Okay, meet you over there on the counter. We're going to go ahead and start this recipe by getting our cornbread together. I'm just going to use one little pack of cornbread mix here because we only need a small pan of cornbread, and I'm just going to follow these directions right here. Nothing dramatic about my cornbread for this recipe. And I'm using a white cornbread mix, not the sweet stuff. You don't want to use Jiffy or honey cornbread or any of those kind of things because they're too sweet for a cornbread dressing here. So let's just go ahead and get this started. I'm gonna bake this up just by the, the directions on the back, 425 oven, a little egg, a little milk, and then we'll get this together, okay? Okay, y'all, we're ready to put the bread in the skillet, and I just want to show you all this little something. I like to pour my bread into a hot cast iron skillet, so I like that sizzle when I pour it in. Okay, so I just get my skillet hot with my little oil in there, and then we're gonna put this in the oven for about 15, 20 minutes. It's just a small pan of bread. And we'll let this bake up, and we're moving on to the next step of our cornbread dressing. Now what we're going to do is get our chicken and our broth together for this recipe. And I'm using drumsticks and I'm using thighs. Normally when I cook, buy chicken or cook it or whatever, I'm not washing it, because I'm not frying it. So, but wash it if you feel like, but the cooking of it will take off anything that's on it anyway, so we going straight in there with that. Okay, so I'm not taking any of the fat off of this because we want a rich broth. Okay, hands are all cleaned up there, so now I'm gonna get ready to put my Trinity mix in here. I have this is a stalk of celery. I'm gonna put half of this celery stalk in there, about half. This is I'm using one small onion, the white onion. I'm gonna get that in there, put half, half of that in there. And then I have my bell pepper. This is I'm using about 3/4 of a bell pepper, so I'm gonna get half of that in there too, reserving part of this for the other part of this recipe. Now I need to get some salt and pepper. My chicken broth and the chicken part is very simple, just salt and pepper. So this I'm using, let me see, a teaspoon, maybe a little better, teaspoon and a half of black pepper there, and salt, probably about 3 teaspoons of salt, because we need to really season that up. And then I'm just going to let this go and cook down for probably about 45 minutes, and then we'll be ready for it, okay? Okay, our little pan of cornbread is ready, chicken is cooking. Now we're going to do the next part of this recipe. Now, here's the cornbread that we've cut up, and I've broken it up into large chunks. Now you don't want to break this cornbread up too small, like with meal, like the size of a meal, You want it in large chunks like this because this gives you some texture, some peaks and valleys into that dressing. Now to that I'm going to add This is about, I was trying to measure it out because I usually don't measure a lot with this, but this is a little stovetop stuffing. Some people like to use a stale bread, white bread or biscuits or something. I use this because I like that the stale bread is already seasoned and toasted. So this is about a cup of that, and I also like the seasonings that the stovetop stuffing has in it. And I'm using chicken flavor, but you know they have turkey flavor and some different flavors too, and all of that is fine. So this is about a cup of that, and what we're trying to do is get all of our solid ingredients in here before we start to add that broth. Now, I have, this is about 2 cups of that chicken that we cooked, you know. I diced it up, and I diced some of the skin up in there too. So I'm gonna put, right now I'm gonna start with about 1.5 cups of these chicken pieces, and you can just add, you know, a little bit more if you want it more meaty, but I might end up adding the rest of it to this, but let me see how it looks when I mix it all together. Now what we want to do is we want to get some sauteed vegetables in here, okay? So now, you remember when we reserved part of this Trinity mix, that was because I wanted to saute it in this butter. This is about 3 tablespoons of butter that I have in this skillet here, and I'm adding the rest of that bell pepper, celery, and onions to saute it a little bit. And I know some of you are probably saying, well, you've already put the Trinity mix in there with the chicken, but remember that boiled with the chicken, so it got, you know, really soft and cooked down in there. But this is going to give me a different texture and a more pronounced taste of this Trinity mix in this dressing. So what I want to do is saute this down until my onions are just a little translucent there. Yeah, a little softened there for my mixture, my dressing mixture. And I'm gonna put about a about a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic in here. That's about a clove to add to this flavor, okay? And we're just gonna saute this about a minute or 2 until it's softened. And then, of course, we're gonna add this to our cornbread mixture. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get this mixture over into our cornbread. And let's give that a little stir. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and take my cream of chicken here, and I'm gonna put about 1/2 of that in there to start with. Now I want to add my sage, and the sage I'm gonna do about, I'm using ground sage here, but you can use that use rubbed sage if you prefer. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put I'm gonna go with about a teaspoon of sage for now. And I'm also gonna use a little bit of this poultry seasoning here. I got the top off, and I'm gonna add about a half teaspoon of poultry seasoning in there. Then we're gonna do just a little. I usually try to use that fresh ground pepper, but I don't have any. So I'm going to use about a 1/4 teaspoon of this pepper here, and not too much salt, just not even a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, just a little bit of it in there. I want to go ahead now and put my eggs in there now. I'm from the area in the South where we put boiled eggs in our dressing, cornbread dressing, and that's a preference. You know, some people say because they put the egg in their cornbread that they don't put it in there, but I don't know. I love that boiled egg in there. And you see, I just kind of put it in my hand and cut it up lightly like this. And I'm using 3 eggs, but that's your choice. Well, more than one, I would say. 2, 3, some people even do 4. So it's up to you how eggy you want it. And I just kind of do a rough chop on them like so. Get them in there. So we've got all of the dry ingredients in here, and so we're looking like this at this point. Now I'm ready to start adding my broth, and that's why I like to get all the dry ingredients in there so I can kind of get a gauge of how much broth I'm going to need. So this right here is the broth off of that chicken that we boil. Now if you choose to use rotisserie chicken, that is an option for you, and then you can use the box broth there, but I always make my own. So this, I'm starting with 2 cups, and I'm just kind of pouring it in here to get a feel of how much I'm going to need to properly moisten up this cornbread dressing. We know that's not it. So I'm coming through. I'm going to go ahead and put it all in there. This is 2 cups that I'm starting with. I'm going to mix this. And after I mix, I like to let it sit for a second to see how much is going to be absorbed by my bread in here. And that's one of the good things about making your own broth. You have a lot of it, you know, to play with until you get the consistency that you want. And remember, I'm not smashing up my cornbread too small because I want those peaks and valleys in my when I do my muffins, okay? Okay, so it's been sitting for about 10 minutes, and I love the consistency of what I see here. Now, I don't know if I told you when I diced up my chicken here, I diced up some of that skin too, because that skin helps it retain the moisture as it bakes in the oven there. And after I looked at it, you know, and felt it, I felt I could go ahead and add the rest of my meat to it without the meat overtaking the dish. I guess that's the way I want to say it. Yeah, so, and also I want to say to you, if you have high blood pressure or something like that, don't add that last little bit of salt in here. That's just a little pinch that I like to put in at the end. And when I tasted it, I can tell you it's right where I want it. But the seasonings, you know, you're going to have to gauge that to your taste. Because remember, I sauteed with butter. Now the butter that I used was an unsalted butter when I sauteed the vegetables. Then I put salt in the chicken as it was boiling, and then the cornbread has a little bit of salt in it. So just be careful with your salt there, but this tastes just right for me. I don't like the taste of salt in my food, let me put it that way, but I do like the salt to take the freshness off. So here we have our mixture, and this is the consistency of it. You see, it's not runny, it's not too thick, it's like just where I want it, you see? So that's what we want to see, this right here, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is take my muffin pan. Here I have a 12-cup pan, and I'm going to take a little pan here, and I'm going to go ahead and spray my cups to get ready to put the dressing in. And this spray here is going to give those crunchy edges, so that, you know, when you get in your dressing, I like to get the corner of the dressing because I like that crunchy brown part in the corner. So this way everybody gets their own crunchy circumference around those dressing cups. So here we sprayed our cups, and now what we're going to do is just go ahead and start putting our mixture into the cups over here. So I'm going ahead using my smaller spoon and just spooning it into each cup. And if you have some left over, you can go ahead and just put that in a pan, if you will, and it bakes just the same. And if you choose not to make yours into the muffins here, you just pour this whole mixture into a baking dish, and you same outcome, taste wise anyway. So we finished filling 12 muffins here, 12 muffin tins here, and we have about enough mixture over here for about 6 more muffins. So we're going to go ahead and get this first batch into this 350-degree oven, and I'm going to bake these for about 30 minutes until the center of these are set. So it should be about 30 minutes, and then we'll be back. So y'all, we're going to get some cranberry relish going here to go on top of these dressing muffins. So what I have here, this is 12 ounces of rinsed cranberries that I have in there, and I took a ½ cup out in reserve for the other part of this recipe. So basically it's 12 ounces of cranberries minus a ½ cup. And there I put in the zest of 1 orange in there. And this right here is 2 tablespoons of water. And I have a cup of sugar. And I'm going to stir this, and it's cooking low. And I'm going to do this for about 10 minutes until I kind of get these berries cooked down just a little bit until they start to get ready to burst. And I'm just going to stir them occasionally until I get them going here. So now we're going to get this part of the relish going. I have an orange, not the same orange that I zested. This orange has this full skin on, and peeling on rather. I'm going to go ahead and I've cut it into fourths, and it doesn't have any seeds in it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the food processor. I also have a tart apple, which I'm using this Granny Smith, and I've cut it into fourths. And as you see, I've also taken the seeds out of it. I'm going to put that into the processor. I'm taking a ½ cup of sugar, and that's going in there too. All right. And what we want to do is get this coarsely chopped up for that cranberry relish. All right. Smells so good. Now, I will tell you, sometimes if your apples are a little too hard, you might have to cube them up a little bit more. But this came out perfect. Look at that, y'all. This is what you want to see when you have this. I hope this is focusing. Okay, so this is basically what you want to see when you have this all post up the way you want it to. Okay, so this is what we're going to fold into those cranberries when they're ready on the stove there. Okay, so after roughly 8 minutes or so, this is what our cranberry mixture is looking like. And so now what we're going to do is take that other ½ cup and pour it right on in there, and we're going to let this go for about another maybe 3 minutes or so, because we want some different levels to this cranberry relish. All right, so we're almost there. We turned up the heat just a little bit on them when we added that last ½ cup, because they're only going to cook for about 2 more minutes. Now what I want to do, I'm going to put a pinch of black pepper in there, and I'm going to add just a pinch of salt in there, just a pinch. And now what I want to do is go ahead and turn this off, because they've been cooking about 2 minutes, and that's all we need. And now I'm going to go ahead and fold in this orange and apple mixture. And we got it all in, and now we're just going to fold it in there. Remember, we've turned the eye off of our relish. So beautiful. Look at that, y'all. Absolutely beautiful. And this is going to cool to room temperature before we can add it to those dressing muffins there. Okay. All right. So these cornbread dressing muffins are out of the oven, and now we're going to let these cool for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to run our knife around the edges to kind of get them out of there, and then we're going to be eating in no time, y'all. Okay. Okay, y'all, we got it done. And y'all, I want to thank you all so much for joining me today and letting me be part of the Peep to Your Day. It was a busy, kind of crazy day for me. As I said in the introduction, I forgot to record part of this cooking video. I thought I was recording at points and I wasn't, but I will make sure that the recipe is typed up for you all so you can cook these cornbread dressing muffins and this cranberry relish for Thanksgiving if you wish to, or at any other time during the holiday season. Because I tell you, in this cornbread, I did put this Heineken right here in the cornbread because you know it brings up that yeast taste. And in the cranberry relish, I did put a little bit of this raspberry vodka to bring up the taste of that. But it's not on the recording because I was doing too many things today and trying to get this ready and with the other things I had to do too. But at any rate, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I'm starving, so I'm going to get right on to eating this. And again, thank you all for joining me in this Boozin kitchen. And you know, let me just go on and get myself some of this right here. Ooh, y'all, I wish y'all were here to get some of this, you know. Ain't done greedy. So you know I have to go back in for bite number 2. Here we go.